Okay, my bad. It looks like I accidentally ended that stream. So hopefully you guys will find your way back in here. My apologies. I was actually trying to pull up something else and all of a sudden it looked like the screen end. You understand? So I didn't even get an opportunity. Let me go ahead and play a commercial really quickly. And then we're gonna come back in and finish this up. Hold on 1 second. I'll be right back. I accidentally ended the stream, my bad. Island Twist follows Jackie Brown, a young girl who finds herself head over heels for the new island boy at school in fresh outer yard, and Jackie has the fever. But as she navigates the ups and downs of her new crush, things quickly spiral out of control when her not so secret admirer becomes determined to sabotage her relationship. So check out the new novel Island Twist over on Amazon today. Now back to the story. All right. Give thanks. My bad. My apologies. I was trying to queue up the next thing and then all of a sudden, me kind of drop on. So it's all right. All right. So lastly, and then we're going to move on. Okay. Um, Hopefully, this helped edify the discussion and the conversation, and we move forward from this a little bit more informed and willing and able to have uh, discussions that can add value. You understand? So I wanted to go quickly to over to the Esther Anderson movie because according to the narrative, I'll let her tell it. She met in 72. So when he goes back over to England and then gets stuck over there a second time, no, the first time he gets stuck over there. So he went there earlier to Sweden, but this time he's in London and they get stuck. So this is, he meets up with Chris Blackwell and now he's into another deal. Now, according to the guy, the keyboardist, John Bundrick, he says the last conversation he held between the two were that they were arguing and that Bob was arguing with JAD to let him out of the deal. And this issue is something that we see all throughout the music industry. People are excited. Their first deal is usually a bad one. Today they call it a 360 deal. And the person owns all things for you. Your publishing, your rights, your image, everything. So if you walk away from the deal, you walk away from it with nothing. And we've seen many, even today, people walking into these deals still thinking it could not happen to them, not learning from the past, right? So we're going to go ahead really quickly and share this. I don't know how I dropped that thing the last time, but it'll be okay. I'm going to try not to, if it has any music, we're going to try to move past that part. But this is around the time, this is the end part of this specific time period where he's coming out of one deal and into another, only to realize he went out of the frying pan and kind of into the fire. Okay. Revolution, come on. Okay, we ain't gonna play the revolution part. Well, let's get to. So she talks about how she met him and when she met him, right?
It was the autumn of 72. I just finished a film called A Woman.
So she's giving us context, right? And this is also for whether you're doing your genealogy, whether you're doing research in your family. I'm just doing it live for people who recognize who people are so you can understand you can do it for yourself. You have to be able to listen. You have to be a great listener. So she's putting us into the context that this is 1972 and it is autumn of 1972, okay?
From December with Sidney Poitier. When I got a call that I had to be in New York by my agent, when I got over there, everything was postponed for a while. And I went to a party given by a record company, Island Records.
Are we seeing the party? Well, this wouldn't be the specific party, but you know, I suppose she put it in here just to give us the understanding that this is what the party would look like. Okay. So again, when Rita is saying that this is not just music, it's not even Studio One vibes. It's on some next type of vibration. This is the stuff that they depicted, to my understanding, in the movie. When they're in the party and the people showing the champagne, I think they depicted this part, even though it may have come later on, because this is the part that makes you question: are you going in the right direction? Do you have to endure all of this to get to the people? Do you need to compromise yourself in order to deliver your message? Question.
And while I was there, I met Bob. He walked in with a friend and introduced him to me. He greeted me in a very sort of alien way. I'd never heard anybody talk like that before. He said, "Hail." He looked very much like Jimi Hendrix at the time. He'd just been signed to the label, and but he didn't really know much about the rock world. And, you know, basically I've helped a lot of the Jamaica.
Wait, so according to the storyline, Chris Blackwell wants them to be a rock act kind of way, right? He's tried to shape them because he's in this indie label rock space that's what he's over there doing. So this is what he was going for. This is why she makes the association between how Bob looked and Jimi Hendrix. But look at Jimi Hendrix's story. Did it end well? Did it end well? Did it end well?
And artists that we'd brought over from Jamaica, like Millie and Jimmy Cliff before, and that I should sort of keep an eye on him, help him, you know, introduce him to people and so. So by the end of the evening, you know, we started talking, and my friend told him that I was a movie star, and he knew all about me, he said. And I said, "How do you know about me?" He said he had followed my life story in the Jamaican Gleaner.
So again, much like how he saw his JAD prototypes, they were with models, they were in this industry. So he knew all about who this woman already was. And at the time, she's a movie star. She's starring with Sidney Poitier, and he's looking for the come up. He's looking to get to where it is that he's trying to go, right? And again, as Rita's saying, there's so much stress, there's so much pressure, there's just so many questions. But let's continue.
I thought it was very funny. I asked him what he was doing here in America, and he said that he'd made a record for Ireland, but it hadn't sold, and he was over here to do radio promotion. But when I heard the songs, Concrete Jungle and Slave Driver and Stop That Train and 400 Years and so, I just thought, wow, you know, these people are from my country. So I decided to photograph them and help them.
Okay, and then they're jumping to 1973, which takes you clear into another time period. So I just kind of want to show that a little bit because all of that is an interesting background for the narrative. It's an interesting background for this narrative. And you heard what she said? There's some people today that see people get to where they're going, although the person may have been struggling, like in his case, and the people who are fawning today, the people who are giving the person all of these accolades today, would not have been the people who was doing it then, right? But it seems that, and this is a human condition oftentimes, when people get to where they're going, now everybody knows. It's like Cheers. Everybody knows your name. That old song, that old show, everybody knows your name now. But when you were getting there, it would have been that he would have been the clout chaser. He's the one who's going to people who have names, and he's the one who's going to people who no, Kaya. Kayla says she likes that we're back on the. No, we're done. We're not really back all the way, you know. I just kind of wanted to do this time period, 68 to 72, because I found that it was a curious time period. And when I first read over it, I was reading so much, so many stories. We were just trying to get the outline of the story. You understand? Just the outline of it. And by going through all of the books, it was just not every single thing that they went through, but it was outlining the story because of the context of the movie and everybody being confused. So I say that to say we're not going deep all the way in there. This is actually the 5th installment of it, and it brought us up to 1978, which is what sets him on the path to become this figure, this larger than life figure that we know, people know today. But there's also a point in it that maybe he was working like this because of all the people he owed, right? Because of all the people that he owed. There's a similar story for Tupac Shakur's story and musicians. When, according to the narrative, and I read his mother's book on this channel as well, right? For those who are interested in literature, I read Afeni Shakur's book, and that book is wild too, right? It was written by Jasmine Guy, right? Her story is one that is rather interesting, but I think stories are interesting in general. But according to that narrative, he found himself in a compromising position. And the person who comes to bail him out of jail, he is now indebted to them for a certain amount. So when he comes out, people are like, oh, he's dedicated to the craft. He's making so much music. He owes them. These artists are signing away their futures for their future endeavors, their future creativity, their future art. That it doesn't matter if you feel like it or not, you owe me this amount of albums. And that's interesting to put that price on artwork because it don't necessarily work like that. And that's what makes this interesting business and to look at, is that you are negotiating away not your future, orange field production. Like, are you going to make good songs to compile another 5 albums? So when Tupac gets signed to Death Row, he owes them. Does he really want to be there? No, you could see it in his face. But he owes them because he didn't want to sit in jail. So he now owes them. And so when he comes out, he's on a mission to make all of these albums so that he can fulfill his contract and get out. Sorry. And to a certain degree, it is said that the record companies usually sign the artists for the amount of albums that they are going to be relevant to the music industry, after which point, they're done, and so is their career. So it's whew, it's exploitive in this space. But that's what I have for right now. Of course, we can do more, but I'm good on this right now. If anybody has anything to say or share, feel free to do so. I see someone said they're glad that, let me see who said that the political stuff. Jasmine says she's glad the political stuff. I mean, the political stuff is interesting. The only reason that I spoke to that, it was, and I've said it before, because of the genealogy that was being used. And she kept going. After a point, it's like, okay, you want to do this. You want to pretend that what you're saying is honest, right? So at that point, you just stop answering people. But yeah, the political stuff, sometimes when we get emotionally wrapped up, we don't look at things for what it is. We look at it for what we want it to be, and that makes things difficult. I'm gonna share this real quick, see if anybody have anything to say, and if not, then I'm going to boogie. I know because there's so much other things to talk about. I mean, there's so many other things to talk about. Let's see. Kaya says he wished Pac never had to leave New York. His life would have been completely different. Playing Keep Your Youths Away From. The Pac story is interesting because I also did some videos when his father came out 2 years ago, about 2 years ago. And I know, for those who are new to the channel, you may not know because this stuff is before that point. You know what I mean? But what I found out just by listening, hold on, let me see if I could find it here. Tupac's father, the storyline is interesting. I think I went over it before, but I'll do it again. Is that Tupac's father and the Afeni Shakur story, this is where the book comes in. She, much like Rita, if I'm going to be honest, the way Ms. Wildberry would like to see me cover Peter Tosh. I would have to see if there's more stuff written. I know they said they were supposed to be writing a story about Peter Tosh. I don't know that it actually was written. That would be a definite interesting thing to explore. But that's what helps me move through a lot of this information, is when they have a lot of stuff that's written, or people who knew the people. But as it relates to Tupac's, I'm trying to see if I could find it here. Oh, here we are. Here we are. Here we are. Here we are. Wait, hold on. Let me see. Tupac's. This story was too much for me. It was too much for me. Let me just share it with you a little bit. If you want some other stuff to watch, like, Amanda, you only just talking about Bob. No. Yeah, no. The investigative research for all things that we can benefit from is there. But anyway, let me take this off real quick so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So here, these are some of the, if those who are interested. What drew me to this was that I was reading Tupac's mother, Afeni Shakur's book. It's called Diary of a Revolutionary, right? By Jasmine Guy. Jasmine Guy wrote it. The mother told it to her, and then she wrote it over a period of time. Jasmine Guy, as we know, or may not know, knew Tupac from a different world, because Jada Pinkett, when she just started, got a reoccurring role on a different world later on in the season. And on one of those seasons, Tupac came, and therefore Jasmine Guy meets and then become friends, whatever the case may be, after the quad shooting and everything like that. Anywho, these are some of the videos that I did, because I did a deep dive, as we see here. I did a deep dive into what the mother was talking about, and the fact that the mother did not say who the real father for Tupac was. So Tupac thought that his father had died because he thought another man was his father. So that is what saddens me about that story, is because this guy, which is Billy, what's his name again? Billy Garland, he lived just over the bridge. He lived in Jersey. He had family members, right? So the story goes left because a lot of the void that happened in his life, like many, is because he was missing something. Further than that, his mother gets involved. Long story short, if overview, his mother has a troubled past, and she moves with her sister and her mother to New York, and she's giving trouble, and she's not going to school. This is Afeni Shakur. She's not going to school. She's not taking her education seriously, this, that, and the third. And essentially she started to go into acting. And this is how she meets, if y'all remember Cooley High Harmony, and you will meet, what's his name again? Glenn Turner. So she's saying that Glenn Turner was actually her little boyfriend from high school. And the funny thing is, I think it was Jasmine Guy who asked Glenn Turner. He said yes. So that kind of confirmed what was being said. But nonetheless, she's looking for somewhere to belong, and ultimately she joins the Black Panthers. Now, I'm giving y'all the abbreviated version, okay? Jasmine says, you did some good work per usual, but the people couldn't receive it. I've been trying to go back through your Afeni series. Yeah, the Afeni series was crazy. The Afeni series was crazy. Right? So Whitley Gilbert is actually Jasmine Guy, right? So I may just go back over some of the stuff I've already done and comment on that, because I'm not going to strike my own channel, you understand? But because maybe people don't know that that work has already been done. So long story short, for those who want the abbreviated version, the cliff notes, what happens is Afeni Shakur, Tupac's mother, she gets attracted to the Black Panthers, okay, because she's in New York. And one of the lead persons in the Black Panthers is not Billy Garland over here, because I think Billy Garland is not being 100% truthful based on his testimony, but that's another story. The lead person is Lumumba Shakur, right? This guy named Lumumba Shakur. So she was like, oh, Lumumba, he's a strong Black man. He's over there talking and stuff. So she goes to this meeting, and she's attracted to the movement, so she wants to start participating. Okay. Ultimately, Lumumba is over there like, yeah, I'm into multiple women. I'm into multiple wives. And long story short, she gets with Lumumba, but Lumumba already has a pregnant woman at home, so, plus children. But at this point, Afeni is like, I don't got no time for no children. I want to be, according to her, she wants to be on the front line. Lumumba moves her into the house, which she, yes, Glenn Turner. That I threw my name near my Turner. Let me see, Glenn Turner. He was also on a different world, correct? So he was also on Cooley High Harmony. Was one of one of my movies right there, them old school movies. But what was I saying? So long story short, Turman, I called him Turner. Turman. Thank you, Jasmine. Turman. Prudent mom, thank you. So long story short, she moves into the people them house on top of the pregnant lady, and essentially, right? And now she's the front line. So why she ends up, this is before Tupac is conceived, why she ends up in jail with the Panther 21 trial in New York is because she is the one that's on the front stage, like the wife, the one with the baby. She wasn't. Yes, Cooley High Harmony. She wasn't the one on the front stage. So when they came and did the raid, they took Afeni, they took Lumumba, they took another guy named he's right now he's a professor because he went to jail. He came out and he's a professor. Ooh, I see his face, but I can't remember his name right now. Anyway, they took a certain one, 21 of them. Okay. And she and another woman ends up in jail. Joan Bird, her name is. Okay. I'm trying to tell y'all, we do this for real now. We do this for real. So she ends up in jail. And what is Jamal? Jamal, that's the name of the youngest Panther. The youngest Panther was named Jamal. His name was Jamal. Can't remember. Jamal something. It's going to come back to me. And so anyway, this is how there's reoccurring themes in family lines. And this is also why I go through this stuff, because when I have more than one source, it helps me to prove my theory, because I do have a theory which is biblical and also universal, that life is cyclical, right? So let me just pull this up on the screen real quick. We might revisit that one because that one is interesting. Because a lot of people talk about Tupac, but it's very linearly. It's very on one dimension when this stuff is coming down the line. Okay. So this Panther 21, this 69, right? They get raided, and it's a crazy story. It's one of the biggest trials to date that took place, because remember, the Black Panthers start on the West Coast with Bobby Seale and now you're making me go back in my bag. What's the Huey P, right? And so it's making its way over here. But when it comes to New York, they're like, hey, let's do the school lunch program. Let's do the sickle cell. Let's do the sickle cell thing. They were trying to incorporate other things into this programming, right? Yes, I remember that, Fab and Good. I saw that he was married at one time to Aretha Franklin. It is a small, small world. So before we could get to Tupac, his mother and father already kind of set the tone. So when they go to jail, they started raising money. The people across, they started raising money, and I'm giving the short abbreviated version, to let them out. The two women and the youngest, they were raising money to let them out. And the reason that they were supposed to come out is so that they can advocate for those who were inside, right? In addition to the leader, because they basically they tried to put a plot on them because they were trying to take them down, this, that, and the third. Anyway, so they let out Joan Bird, they let out Afeni Shakur, and they let out Jamal. Let me click his name. His name is Jamal. They let out Jamal. Jamal's last name is going to come back to me. Anyway, so they're supposed to go around and they're supposed to be doing speeches everywhere. See, Joan Bird, Afeni Shakur, and Jamal Joseph. That's his name. Okay. So They are going around, they're talking, they're doing all of these things, they're having these conversations to raise money for their to defend them. When they get out, Billy Garland, who is Tupac's real father, is assigned to Afeni Shakur as the driver. He said that himself on the Art of Dialogue. Okay. So he's assigned to, because this at this point, Afeni Shakur is the New York leads woman, quote, married, because they did it in a traditional ceremony. Okay, they did it in a Muslim ceremony, I wed thee kind of thing. So he is on guard to look at and to make sure that she gets to and from where she needs to get safely. It is in this time, according to his testimony, not mine. We could go back over there if y'all want to. It is in this time that he finds a way, even though he has a family in Jersey and Tupac has older children, I mean, siblings, he finds a way to impregnate her. So what happened is, when something happens and they take them back and they revoke their bail and they have to come back to jail now, that's a long story, all the other stuff that happened. She comes back to jail and she has conceived. But Lumumba, the husband, has been in jail and it ain't his. So when she comes back to jail, it's a shock to everybody, which made it a bigger scandal. It was all in the newspaper, and I went over that and everything. Like, yo, how is the lead guy's woman pregnant by someone else? This is also interesting because this kind of back and forth came back where these two East Coast and West Coast is beefing. And then what does Tupac do? He thinks, you know what I should do? I should go, according to him, he should go sleep with Biggie's wife. This is, and they actually asked Billy Garland about this. Anyway, long story short, Afeni thought that she and Billy Garland, because she no longer was with Lumumba because Lumumba said he divorced her. She defends herself. She defends herself in court, and as we know, history made, she wins the trial, right? Because she didn't like the lawyer that they picked for them. Long story short, she wins the trial, and she thinks that it's going to be her and Billy Garland, according to the story. For whatever happens, not only is it not him and her, the everybody, the whole organization is scattered. Nobody can trust anybody because they're still under big surveillance. You know, they have to. This is how he ends up leaving from New York. This is Takaya, what he was saying. They end up leaving from New York because she can't keep a job. Things are going and spiraling out of control, and they kind of have to go off the radar. And there's somebody, according to the story, that knows them. He says he lost touch with them. Who knows? Who knew them in Baltimore, and so they end up moving to Baltimore. But the story that the father tells is not adding up, and that leads me to believe that there was more to the story, and that's what I was able to ascertain through the book and other things. So that was the long and short of it. It is a very interesting story, and it's important to the Tupac narrative, why he's even divided and caught between these two things. I should change the title of this because we quickly went into something else. But this is how he was able to vacillate between, he's a Black Panther, but no, he's really for the streets, but no, he's a hustler, confusion. One more interesting story that his father told during this time when he was on his press run, okay, was that his mother, which would be Tupac's grandmother. So Billy Garland's mother dies by having an illegal abortion. Okay. So one of Tupac's, when Billy Garland was like 5 or something, if I'm not mistaken. So one of Tupac's interesting things that he often says is that he always felt like this dark presence that was pursuing him. Well, he coincidentally looks very much like his grandmother. There's pictures of him and there's pictures of his grandmother, and he looks eerily similar to his grandmother. So I think his thing was something that it wasn't just on one level that we're looking at it. It came from his mother. When his mother was defending herself, she was pregnant with him. When she was studying and trying to get herself out of, she was pregnant with him. So all of that energy, all of that experience, all of that went into the child, right? a deep thing. I did it already. I'm gonna put some of that stuff in the box if you're interested. I'm gonna read some of this and then I'm a boogie. Um, yeah, they right. She tells him that his father was Legs or somebody named Legs or something of that nature, right? And that was somebody according to the storyline that helped them, but that wasn't his father. But another thing about what made this father thing interesting is because there was an East Coast West Coast split in the Black Panthers. There was the West Coast who felt they started this, and then the East Coast who really popularized it and helped it to spread. And so that when Huey P. Newton comes out of jail, there is this power struggle. And according to Afeni Shakur, according to her, when she goes to the West Coast to talk to the leader about, according to her, I'm gonna have to find the book. He tells her that she needs to give him some. Yo, I can't. Yo, this sounds too familiar, man. And because she refuses, he then says that he's gonna cut off. I'm trying to look for it. I'm not even going down that rabbit hole right now. He's gonna cut off support. So, and the East Coast, West Coast, I say that to say, did not start with the beef, did not start with Tupac and Biggie. It came from a generation before. People who were directly related to them were in this East Coast, West Coast beef, and it wasn't hip hop, it was the Black Panthers. It's a very deep story, it's an important part of American history. Did they end at what time did they end up in jail due to the which one was that? There was a lot of stuff that ends up happening later. Which time period is that? This particular time period, they were in jail, but eventually they got off. And Afeni Shakur defended herself and won. Afeni, yeah. No, she was her own. It's true. In the beginning of the case, Prudent Mom, she had a lawyer. What they're saying is that she was upset that they got the whack lawyer for them, the women, and gave the better lawyer to the men, right? And when she went along, she was trying, because now that Lumumba he's not the head Negro in charge, he's also in jail. She feels like they're not agreeing at this point, right? And so she decides she wants to defend herself. And he was against the idea. There was a lot of stuff that was going on. He was against the idea. And ultimately, she does defend herself. But the Tupac is conceived when she's out on bail and they're supposed to be getting support for those who are still in jail. You understand? And so yeah, Legs or something like that. That's what they said his name was. So she actually did defend herself in that court case. But that's another story for another day. I forgot why I brought up Tupac. Oh yes, for getting himself in a precarious position to old people, and him trying to, in the midst of him trying to get out of it, he found himself in more problems, right? Because he wanted to do, well, ultimately according to him, he wanted to do more than music. He wanted to do entertainment, but he found himself in this precarious situation. I don't know where that book is right now. But with that said, I will, you know what I'll do to save myself some extra work? I will go over some of the videos that I've already went over, and yeah, we can talk about that. Yes, what happens is she gets out of jail, according to the story, she gets out of jail. Is it if it yeah, it's a few weeks because he's born in June, and I think she gets out of jail in May, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think the trial is over in May, and then he's born in June. So, and what was happening is that they were writing and trying to raise awareness for the inhumane conditions that was happening in jail. So she was pregnant while in jail when she ends up going back, and that was some of the stuff that she was bringing up. That's some of the stuff that she was bringing up. She said it in the Dear Mama video. Which one? It is under the Afeni videos. Let me see. I should just I thought I put it in a what you call it, but I don't think I put it in a so if you give me 2 seconds, I could just put it in a playlist. But let me double check if it's under live or if it's under I think these are live. Because sometimes for me to pre-record, it take a lot of time. I think these are live, but let me double check for you. There's one called Dear Daddy, exploring Tupac's origin story. And then because he started talking a lot, and I was like, wait a minute, Billy. This story is not adding up at all, at all, at all, at all. This story is not adding up. This was a live. This was a live. So yeah, check under the live videos and check. That's gonna be like 2 years ago. You gotta, or just search the channel and put Tupac. If you search the channel and put Tupac or Billy Garland, Billy is funny. Billy is funny. This guy, man. Oh my goodness. But if you want to look up the readings first, you have to search Afeni. I'm gonna put this in a thing. If you search Afeni Shakur, let me show you what those look like. Billy Garland is a funny guy, man. This is what the what you call this look like. I'm gonna put it in a here are the videos. It's book reading, all the chapters. Her book is crazy. How she gets addicted to, and then Billy Garland stuff. How she gets addicted to crack cocaine. I don't know if I want to spoil it for you guys. I had to take a break after that, man. I was like, oh man, I'm done. How she gets addicted to crack cocaine is crazy. And so that's when you hear Tupac sing, he blames his mother for turning his brother into a crack baby. He takes that line from essentially going to the mother. Okay, she's wilding, she's drinking, she's smoking, she's doing all this stuff. She leaves from Baltimore. This is how he ends up in California. But the people that they go to California to are not all the way there. And what happens is, hold on. What happens is she, her brother is in jail, according to her, and he has somebody in jail who's saying, oh, he likes her, this, that, and the third. You're welcome. And then the brother hooks her up with this guy. So the guy is like finessing her. At this time, she's been through a lot. And the guy is finessing her and getting her to bring stuff to him, doing all this stuff like this. So she's falling for the guy. And the guy finessed her. And then I don't know how she ended up getting a belly, but she gets a belly in jail. So then she's like, how did she get a belly in jail? What is she going to do? This, that, and the third, this, that, and the third. And she's looking for ways to get rid of the child. It's crazy. And ultimately, according to her, she thinks that smoking crack would make the child die. And therefore, she engages in the behavior. I was messed up behind that. For I had to put the book down and walk away. That's why y'all be like, why, man? Sometimes I just got to, I'll be like, this is too much. This is too much. This is too much. This is too much. So some of these stories, when you see me put it down, for my mental well-being, I need to let the story breathe. That's what I'm saying? Because these stories be crazy. So yeah, if y'all want us to come back and talk about that at another time, I'll do so. I'll change the what you call it on this one because we went left, but it's all good. It's yeah. Let me see. That's what I'm saying. AI. The story from the beginning is crazy. Let me see if I get the book real quick. Where is it? I have have another book here, and he's part of the Black Panther story. But this book is wild, and it's Eldridge Cleaver's book, Soul on Ice. I have this book here, but I read a few outtakes, and I'm like, yo, homie is wild. Where's Diary of a Revolutionary? Right, let me not get off track. I can't find it right now. It's in here somewhere. But yeah. So I'll put that in a I'll put it in a playlist for those who want to get caught up on that, and then we'll take it from there. So again, beyond his superstardom, like many people just stop at, oh, they know the person. What lessons are we going to learn from their lives? What mistakes did they make? What bright choices did they make? You know, how could we pass? What is the moral of the story? Because without it, then we just spend. To me, it's like we lose that wisdom. We lose the understanding that we could get because we're stuck in the hype of it all. Well, no, Tupac was already born by this time. They were big. This is what was one of her concerns. The daughter was already born, and Tupac was already born, and this child is coming afterwards. And this is why not to let after she gets cooked on crack, he gets with Digital Underground, and he starts because they're not making any money, so he starts actually making some type of revenue and able to help in some degree. Yeah, that part. We all gonna go back to Marcus. Marcus just had me wondering. Marcus, national hero, Marcus. Marcus, I had to take a break. I was overwhelmed. You know when you learn too much from about your grandparents or your great grandparents and you need a minute to breathe? That's how I felt about Marcus. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm a real person on the other end of this screen. That's kind of how I felt about Marcus. Like, Marcus, what? Marcus was wiling. Marcus had no chill. Amy had no chill. Like the fact that they were scandaling each other. I guess this is a recap, right? Because I'm going through all the books and all the fact that y'all went to these levels in the public. I had to take a minute on that one. For years. For years. Like, Amy, did they bust in on you, cock up in the bed naked with the I mean, Marcus and Amy, I need rehab after them, yo. Marcus and Amy, yo. Mm-mm-mm. No, I believe the baby ends up, she's pregnant, but the baby doesn't make it. I'm trying to figure out where my book is. The baby doesn't make it. Her idea is trying to get rid of the child. Yeah, it's just in an sister, but according to her, she was pregnant. According to her, she was pregnant. I will have to pull back that one. She was pregnant. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. That's weird. I don't know. I usually know where the book is. Now I don't know. The book is hiding. It's probably looking at me right now. Like, I'm right here. But anyway, I will come back with that one. I will have to come back with that one. I know I see the book, but the book is not letting me see it. The book is like, no, ma'am. Her face is on the cover. All right. I ain't going to take up no more time. Is this? No. The book I look for me, you know. The book I look for me, but me can't find it right now. I can't find. I know it gonna get me upset. It gonna get me upset, yo. Anyway, you guys tell me which ones you hope for that I revisit, You know what I mean? And just as we revisited this Bob one, before I start any new one, I could do some revisitations on some of the ones that we was left halfway on. I have to see where this book is. Don't know where the book gone to backside. Yeah. But with that said, that's what prudent mom. I want to read exactly because I don't want to misquote. That's why I'm looking for the book to answer your question. So I have to go and see where I put it. So that we can revisit that so that you can get the answer to your question. Because I don't want to put any misinformation out there. Yeah. So with that said, everybody, give thanks for tuning in. You know what I mean? I pray everybody have a blessed night. I will try to tie up some of these loose ends. I don't think I went all the way through on Marvin Gaye. His is a next one. Marvin, man. Marvin Ed not good at all, me I tell you. Marvin Ed not good. But we'll come back and talk again and revisit some of the stuff I've already gone over. And then, yeah, we'll take it from there. So with that said, thank everybody for tuning in. Everybody have a blessed night. Until next time.